We've had nearly an inch of rain over the last few days, and we've really needed it, to be quite honest, because it's been so dry, and it's been quite difficult ploughing up until the rain came. But we've been cracking on with our autumn work because we've got lots to do. But this is a field here that we didn't plough. We've been across with our subsoiler and the carrier it was after beans, to try and do some sort of non-inversion tillage this year, which we try every year. I'm just always sceptical about it because organically we've consistently yielded a ton a hectare less where we've done non-inversion tillage. The plough always yields better. But the other thing I just wanted to have a quick look at, sorry it's very windy, hope you can hear me, is that after rain on non-inversion tillage, when you're incorporating a lot of this is bean straw here, it's much finer than being behind the plough, and so the soil retains a lot more moisture, and you have to leave it a lot longer to dry out, and it goes, you can see, look, it's absolutely sodden wet inside. The reason why we've left the surface a little bit rough is to get some weather on it to open it up a bit, and so it can dry out a little bit easier, but you can see what it's like inside after an inch of rain. It really is very solid, and you wouldn't want to be drilling into that. And now I was just going to nip to a field to show you where it's been ploughed, to show you the difference. Just on my way down to the ploughed field, I've just stopped off at this field of stubble, but it was actually undersown with clover. This is one of the fields I had where the clover all emerged undersown in the wheat, and then it all disappeared, and just sort of thinking that it's a combination of things, of light, drought, weevil, etc. But anyway, we've just pulled across here with our haricone weeder and put on another 20 kilograms a hectare of red clover, and this is old clover we've had lying around for a number of years. I tested the germination, it's only 50%, so we put it on at 20 kilograms a hectare. But you can just see that after the rain now we've got one or two plants emerging. So I've just got to keep an eye on it now and make sure that it keeps coming, and just to check to see what pests are going to have a go at it and try and work out what's happening here. But it's good to see that it's germinated anyway, so I'll be revisiting this field on a sort of a weekly basis to see how we get on. So this is the field that we ploughed. It's just been ploughed and rolled, and the ploughing does a lot more work on the soil and opens it up, makes a lot of sort of big air gaps in the soil as well. But after an inch of rain, the difference is that this is still holding a lot of its structure. You can see that it's relatively easy to break down now because the rain's got inside those cracks that have occurred, during the sort of dry period we've had. But you can see that actually you could get on this today, cultivate it and sow it. And nowadays, people have moved away from the plough, and but my view is actually that you should take a managed approach. And if you've got a couple of thousand acres of cereals to drill, you want to spread risk a bit with the weather, and a proportion should be ploughed and a proportion should be min-tilled. It's just quite dramatic, the difference. You can see that that's just going to make an absolutely fantastic seed bed. You just got to touch that with a cultivator and it's going to break down into something fantastic. We're doing as much in non-inversion tillage as we can, but as I say, I think a managed approach is the way forward. While I'm out and about, I'm just having a look at our green manure here that we've got in about 80 acres, and the idea is we're going to leave this in the ground over the winter and plough it just a little while before we need to drill it, also as long as my nerve holds out. Suffolk soils, especially clay soils, are usually ploughed before Christmas to get some weather on them, but what I'm hoping is this green manure is going to take some moisture out of the soil and maybe help it plough a little bit easier so we can actually plough it later. And the green manure, as I've said before, is to try and keep the nutrients in the ground and capture nitrogen and other nutrients that might leach away over the winter if we had ploughed it. And you can see here the mustard's really evident and it's coming up well. And you can see a Phacelia here as well. It's got Phacelia. It's a mixture of 40% mustard, 30% Phacelia, and 30% crimson clover. I have to say the crimson clover isn't particularly evident. It is in places, but it's a very small seed and it's obviously taking its time to show itself. But also there's a lot of other weeds in here as well, some thistles and annual thistles and other bits and pieces which actually all add to the green manure, so I'm not worried about those at all. All got different roots, all got different rooting depths, bringing up different nutrients from different levels in the soil. And also the other important thing about green manures and overwinter stubbles is that there's lots of lovely food on the ground for wild birds still in these stubbles. And we've seen just clouds of yellow hammers on some of these fields, so hopefully this is a good thing for our soil, good thing for our workload because it's spreading our cultivations across winter and into spring, and also a good thing for birds and the environment. So just on the issue of the red clover, and actually going back to one of my earlier clips earlier this month, I think, or last month, on some of my red clover, undersown red clover that failed. This field here it's just a 4 hectare field that we've sort of taken out of production for the time being, and we sowed it at the same time with no crop in it, with the same mix that we use for undersowing. And you can see here that it's just a massive red clover and Phacelia. There's more Phacelia on the headland because in fact we ran out with that mix on the headland, and the rest of the field's actually just red clover, but there's obviously a little bit of Phacelia sort of jingling through the harrowcomb seed box at the time, so there's a bit of Phacelia in there. But first of all, they've actually buzzed off now, but there's still a few sort of honeybees just foraging. You can see one over there just foraging. That's a bumblebee actually, but you can see some honeybees sort of foraging this lovely Phacelia. But the point is that it sort of makes it, the light thing is a real issue with the red clover undersown, especially in winter crops. And one of our best stands of red clover was actually on a field of wheat that we drilled really late in November on wide rows, because we had just finished drilling our beans, which we drilled on wide rows anyway, and we didn't want to change the coulters over just to get the wheat in, and that's got a lovely stand of red clover. So perhaps I should be looking at any fields that we plan to undersow that are winter crops this coming spring. Should really be sown on wide rows. So that's something that we'll be considering.